Tuesday, July 28th, 9:45 a.m. local Hawaii time. I am on a balcony in Oahu in Honolulu, um, on the Waikiki beach. You can see in the background, pretty. It's Diamond Head back there, 24 stories up. I was telling a couple friends of mine today that normally I'm not afraid of heights. I've been skydiving when I was younger, uh, but it took me a little while to get orientated on the balcony. Hey, little guy, $10 for road bikes? Maybe when I get done. First of all, where are your clothes at? Hey, they're on the bathroom floor. Second of all, I'm recording a podcast, so you have to let me finish and get your clothes on, and then we'll talk when I'm done. Okay? I knew at one point I've got kids, 18 to 8, here with me right now, and I knew that one of them at some point would join me on the podcast. When it cut off, when we were on the balcony in Maui, my daughter had come out and she had gotten into it. So anyway, that was an interlude. These are all just one straight take, like the great filmmakers. Christopher Nolan. They're famous for filming. Others. Yeah, I know Nolan's controversial now because of his Odyssey. I haven't seen that. There's some things saying that he wasn't, historically accurate. Kind of got woke, but the filmmakers, you'll see ones that are acclaimed that they do these one take takes. So all these podcasts are just one take takes. Not that they're great, but there's no editing. Whatever happens, happens. Sometimes they cut off, because of Wi-Fi connections or so forth. But anyway, I forgot where I even was. So we're in Oahu. Here it comes again. No, you can't get roadblocks, especially not while you're interrupting me. Let me finish what I got to do. I'm doing my work. This is my. I know you made the ring, but that still isn't an excuse. Hey, let me finish. I know. I love you. Hey, I love you, but if I will talk to you when I'm done, and if you keep interrupting me, I'm not gonna be able to finish. So I got to finish this. Love you. I want to do another one of these because I'm gonna roll. The start has been rambling. I know. I'll get back on track here. Um, and basically, we've had, the momentum market has sold off worse than it ever has on a monthly basis. Worse than in 2000, worse than in 2008 or 9, and that's in July here. So we've had just a meltdown in momentum. And Mike Green wrote a piece about semiconductors. I linked it in the reading and podcast room. I put it in a note on Substack. But basically, Mike was saying that the unwind, is corollary, or it's the opposite to the run up. He had made the point that the fund flows had driven the run up, particularly the launch of the DRAM exchange product, and he had noted that it's a long piece. I encourage you to read through it, but he had noted that on the downside, the big components, particularly Micron, hadn't exhibited downside beta that was similar to the upside beta. And however, that has changed the last couple of days. You've seen, particularly in the SanDisk, the Microns, the downside beta is accelerated. So you're seeing a historic washout in momentum names. Money is being transferred to value names, and the market, the S&P 500 is holding up really well. I saw that the equal weight S&P 500 actually made a new high yesterday. I haven't checked that. I just read that. I'm not sure if that's verified, but regardless, the broader market is holding up well. We've seen it with strength in stocks like Cleveland Cliffs, Adobe, Charter, which are all high free cash flow yielding companies. The energy complex is yo-yoing based on what's happening with speculative flows there and what's going on in the Middle East. But in general, you're seeing a historic rotation, and it's a good thing. I think it's just getting started. We've talked about in 2000 that was basically, in March the tech momentum broke, and David Titus, Doc Titus, and I talked about on our podcast the S&P was only down 9% for 2000. There was a bigger rotation into value, into commodities, into tech. I mean, out of tech. So big rotation in 2000 into small cap value, commodities, commodity stocks. Gold started to take off. My first really big score in the markets, other than it's funny, I'm old now, 48, going on 49 here pretty soon. My first big score in the markets outside of, I had ridden tech stocks from 95 to 99. I shorted tech in November 99, but precious metals from 2000 to 2005 in particular, but the bull market ran all the way to 2008. That was a fantastic time to be in precious metals, precious metal equities. But that rotation really started in 2000. So you're starting to see signs of that here. Obviously, precious metals had a blow off kind of top in January of this year. I'm really curious to see what happens with the Fed tomorrow, because there's expectations that are built into the market. Citadel came out and said that there possibly could be a rate hike tomorrow, which is ironic because Bernanke is a consultant for Citadel, and Kevin Warsh famously resigned from the Bernanke Fed that was doing QE and money printing in 2011. So I saw somebody say on Twitter, I reposted it. They said this is like the Bravo series, the Real Housewives. There's drama in the markets with the Fed meeting here, and I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what happens. I want to see. We're at an extreme now because the momentum stocks are extremely oversold. SanDisk, for example, has dropped 50% or over 50% from its highs. Prior to that, a lot of stocks had been down 50, 60, 70%. Optical stocks. We had been on AXTI on the long side. We sold out way too early. It ran up a lot more than we ever thought possible, but that thing has come from, I saw 145 to like 40 something the other day. We were out, not in the sell off, of course, but you're seeing tremendous price moves. And when you have that type of volatility, and we saw this in 2000, you're going to get big bounces too from the momentum stocks at some point. But in general, we should see a rotation continue. And again, but it's going to be in these periods of, you're going to get bounces in the things that sold off, and it won't be a straight line. But it's a good sign to see that just momentum factor is finally starting to break. I've articulated on prior podcasts that I think this is a precursor to some weakness in the dollar. I think it'll reignite the precious metals trade. We'll see more how that syncs with what happens with the Fed tomorrow, and then I think that'll help the high cash flow yielding value oriented equities. Apologize for the start of the podcast here. Get to see my young son, and again, I encourage everybody. One of the points I want to make is you have to be able to survive the storm. I've seen on Twitter in April and May, you saw people posting these extraordinary profits, and now you're seeing people posting blowups. I reposted something this morning. Somebody had got to $27 million and is down to $3 million. So there's been tremendous wealth lost because of the leverage that has been inherent in this momentum run up. Part of getting long-term outperformance in the markets is you have to make bets, and you're going to be wrong. It's like baseball. I've alluded to that numerous times. Being a good investor is very similar to sports, but I think there's a lot of analogies to baseball specifically because baseball players, whether you're batters or pitchers, you fail a lot of the time. And you have to be able to move on to the next pitch as a pitcher or the next at bat as a batter, and you have to be okay with outcomes that you have setups and you put capital to work, but as a batter, you could get the barrel on the bat of the ball and hit a line drive right into and out, and that happens. So you have to be able to survive that in the markets, survive the the failures that you're going to have, and everybody's going to have failures, myself included. Position sizing is really important. In options, you can't just keep shoveling money after something, um, doubling, tripling down. You have to be okay taking a loss, coming back to another day, and then position sizing for all your positions. But on the equity side, if you run concentrated positions, position sizing is very important because you have to be able to have the wherewithal to to get to the other side of the storm. And you're going to go long periods of time where something's against you. That's where your conviction is earned, not borrowed, and then you have conviction on the other side. In closing, enjoying Honolulu. We had a great dinner at an Italian place as a family last night. Had some lamb chops and pizzas, and it was just great. Met a friend named Jose. Jose and I are actually going to go out surfing later today. Uh, you can see there's a tropical storm coming in, and it's normally the waves at Waikiki are very easy, but there's been some swells. We saw it on Maui before we came over to Oahu yesterday. And then the last thing I'll say is Oahu, Honolulu is a city. It feels like I'm in, downtown Indianapolis, or you can hear the buses and just transit and construction. Very different. I think there's close to a million. It was over a million residents here, but they've had some immigration out since 2020, and that's true for the Hawaiian Islands as a whole. The in net, you would think that people would immigrate here, but in actuality, it's so tourism based everywhere. I think Hawaii was like 1.5 million tourists a year. The Big Island was like 2 million. Maui is like 2.5 to 3 million. Oahu was like 5 million. The local residents actually, find a lot of lifers that maybe have been to the mainland once or twice or the other islands. But when you're younger, a lot of people leave here for opportunity, whether it's jobs, um, families, etc., elsewhere. So, but this feels like the urban heart of Hawaii. It's a city. It feels pretty concentrated in the area we are. We're going to explore the Big Island more. I'm going to go surfing today with my new friend Jose, and I'll check back in tomorrow as I keep my streak of podcasts on the markets going. Homework assignment: read that Mike Green semiconductor piece. I think that'll be very helpful here. That's homework assignment number one. Homework assignment number two: just continue to expect volatility in the markets. Leave you with a pretty view. I don't know how to zoom in on this. I wish I could zoom in on the waves and the water out there. It's raining a little bit as that tropical storm comes in. Thankful and grateful for everybody in the group. Appreciate it. God bless. You guys have a great day.